Revenge is what we should be focused on right now?
I gotta focus on this. This is something I gotta handle.
You know where Dru is tonight. Anybody sees him or loses him, that's a target on their back too. You got it?
Let's get them to turn against one another.
Dru and Diana gotta go.
Relax for a bitch that got a target on the back of her head right now.
Do it!
Please.
Now, this is where I'm expecting them to pick things up in terms of revelations and secrets, but also set some storylines up to leave us on a huge cliffhanger come the end of episode 5. For majority of the season so far, we've seen Tariq on the back foot and pretty much in survival mode, which definitely won't change anytime soon. He'll definitely have to deal with the threat of Carter and I'm sure various other issues. But going into episode 4, there are 2 characters in particular who have their backs against the wall and where they'll be in survival mode themselves, Dru and Diana. However, in typical Power fashion, this is where I'm expecting a twist to the story, which will most likely be around Diana's pregnancy. But as always, we're going to run through a quick preview of what we can expect in episode 4 based on the official trailer, images and any exclusive clips. But first things first, let's take a look at the title and synopsis. Now the title for episode 4 is The Reckoning, and the synopsis reads: with the truth of their treachery uncovered, Dru and Diana are on the run. Tariq and Monet are on the hunt, but find themselves interrupted when Detective Carter and Kamate show up with questions. Now going straight into the exclusive images for episode 4, we know the episode will kick off right from where they left off. Monet and Kane will be on the hunt, but so will Tariq when they come to see him at Stansfield. They're standing in what used to be the Western dorm room. Diana moved in with Rebecca in season 3, but we also know Rebecca recently moved out because the Western name has been completely tarnished. Ironically, the literal opposite of the St Patrick name, which still holds a lot of weight as we all saw and heard with Zion. But on Monet, Kane and Tariq, I do wonder how the revelation and the secret being revealed, how this changes Kane's perception of Tariq. We all know he's never been fond of him since season 1, but at the end of the day, Tariq wasn't the one who betrayed the Tejadas, it all stemmed from his siblings. So this conversation certainly will be interesting. But on Diana, they're not going to find her anywhere near Stansfield. She isn't stupid enough to hide in the first place her family would look. Instead, she's hiding out at this motel, where Monet and Kane will catch up to them.
We gotta get out of here now. Let's go. Let's go.
A little hard to go in the room with your mama's foot in the bill, huh?
Ma, please. We are sorry. We didn't mean to do it. The day you guys shot, somebody else
Y'all
came.
just gonna take my life like that?
Now, how they find them, I think they have given us a bit of a hint with the exclusive clip. It seems like they used a credit card which Monet tracked back to this motel. Monet also isn't messing around. We're going to see a pistol whipping the owner or the man at the front at the motel. She's also going to confront Dru and Diana, but somehow they still will manage to escape, where we then see Diana and Dru on the run. We've got Monet at the top looking on as they're probably making their escape, where this time Kane will be pulling the trigger. We also saw how he was conflicted when Dru and Diana found themselves exposed at the end of 403, but this time he will be telling Monet both Dru and Diana have to go.
Dru and Diana gotta go.
Relax for a bitch that got a target on the back of her head right now.
Now Kane will also find himself in a battle with Dru at some point, and I don't think it's going to go the way many will think. In the Kane vs Dru teaser, it does tease that Dru gets a drop on Kane, but I really don't think he's got what it takes to pull the trigger on his brother. However, I think he should, because if he doesn't, Kane will be gunning for him after this betrayal. But I do think they're just kind of setting us up for this big showdown between the two brothers, where in the end, there can only be one winner. Now with Monet, we've also got her with Jeanette, who, let's not forget, was supposed to leave. So I really do wonder if her staying an extra night or two being around the Tejadas, where they also have targets on their backs from Carter, whether it will be something that will come back and haunt Jeanette, it's definitely worth a thought. But on Jeanette's influence, I wouldn't be surprised if she has a big influence on Monet's next move. She's got a big decision to make whether she goes down the path of revenge or whether or not to forgive. And in my personal opinion, I do think eventually Monet will forgive, especially when she finds out Diana is pregnant. Maybe she'll feel like it's finally her second chance that she's been waiting for. A second chance to raise their grandchild in a different way compared to how she did with Kane, Diana and Dru. So, in the end, even though I do think we are going to see them on the hunt, I do think by the end of episode 4 or maybe in 5, Monet will choose to forgive. Now, in terms of the aftermath of the motel scene, I wouldn't be surprised if Diana goes straight to Salim's to hide. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Diana and Dru get into a bit of a conflict. We've seen Dru acting on pure emotion, not just in season 4, but since the death of Gordo and also Lorenzo. He also now wants to be Noma's number 2 and climb higher in the ranks of her organization, whereas with Diana, she wants out. So, they're on 2 complete different pages. They may be together in terms of having to save themselves, but let's remember who the Tejadas are. They're a bunch of snakes. Dru proved it by shaking hands with Obi and then snitching on him to Noma. So I wouldn't be surprised to see these two go in their separate ways at some point in episode 4. With Diana, we've got her at Salim's, and I am intrigued to see whether or not Diana tells Salim that she's pregnant, because we're all wondering whose baby is it? Is it Salim's or is it Tariq's? I think even with Diana, I don't think she can know for certain either, so I wonder if this adds to the confusion. It's just a thought. Now we will also see Tariq catching up to Diana by breaking into Salim's, and also grabbing him up against the wall. I'm sure we'd all love for Tariq to pull the trigger, but there's a hell of a lot of bodies dropping in season 4, and with Carter on the hunt, I don't think it's such a good idea, but let's see. This Tariq we're seeing in season 4 is a little different. He's definitely on demon time, and he's also now beginning to use his hands. Now I think this is the moment we're all waiting for, Tariq confronting Diana. Will she drop the "I'm pregnant" bomb? I think we all know it's inevitable. That's the only thing that saves her in this situation. However, there is also another perspective we do have to consider and be mindful of going forward. Tasha was the one who pulled the trigger, and I'm sure Monet would still be asking the question, okay, we may have got to the bottom of who betrayed me, but who was the one who pulled the trigger? Was it Tariq? The last thing I'm sure Tariq wants is heat on Tasha, and that's one of the main reasons he is going to be gunning for Diana, so let's see how this all unfolds. Now just moving over to Noma, Kane and the other stories for episode 4, we've got Kane and Noma at what looks like a very posh event, where they'll probably have a lot of powerful players, and powerful players don't always necessarily have to be in a street game, and with that being said, I do believe this is one aspect which Power Book 2 Ghost is kinda missing at this moment in time, the corporate world or politics scene, because it is something we haven't seen just yet, for example, Rashad Tate. But with the introduction of Kamal Tate and him potentially kind of coming onto Detective Carter's task force, we might actually be inching closer to Rashad Tate's return at some point over these next couple of episodes, because his influence will definitely be needed at some point. Now we don't know why they're here just yet, but I am intrigued to see how Kane handles this situation, because it is a new setting for him. We know how Tariq has been able to adapt from a college hoodie to a suit, where he blended into the corporate world very similar to his father. But let's see how Kane fares. Can he prove he's just more than a street soldier? Because being Noma's number 2 will require to carry out a number of duties, not just in the street. So will he prove to Noma that he can step up and take Obi's position, and be more than just someone who can intimidate people in the street? For those successful drug dealers, those who are playing the long game, they're good at both. But as I mentioned before, let's see how Kane fares. Does he have what it takes in a corporate, political, or professional environment? Now in terms of Raiden and Tariq getting their operation up and running, we heard how they planned to move their product under the radar. Their plan was to blow up this group, and with the popularity, use the audience base as a way to shift their product. So they're going to have a very similar system to Dre's bottle system when they were selling at Club Truth. This is also where we'll probably see Tariq smoking, but let's see how long they can keep their operation under the nose of Noma and also Detective Carter. Carter is definitely a different proposition to what Tariq and co have faced before. They're definitely taking their time to tell us who he is and what he's capable of, which I think they've only kind of scratched the surface of, but his plan in episode 4 will be to let them turn against one another. But him and Kamal Tate will be turning up to question them as well based on the synopsis. So maybe it's Carter's turn to visit the Tejadas, since he's already been to see Davis and Tariq. But that's a preview of all things episode 4. It's an episode which will definitely focus on the hunt for Dru and Diana, but Carter will also be carrying out his own. It's an episode where I fully expect Diana to reveal that she's pregnant, which might save her in the short term, but in the long term, I honestly can't see it ending well. But drop all your thoughts and predictions down below in the comment section for all things Go Season 4, Episode 4. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.